Hi, I'm Galina, and today I have a very special interview for you with a very special person. It's Reema Khan, an immigrant from India who started a very successful beauty business in the US. Reema will share her experience with you on how she made it. Enjoy the interview, and I will see you in the comments below. So, before we dive into questions, I wanted to ask you about your company. Could you please explain what your company does?
The name of my company is Shapes Brow Bar, and we are a beauty business. So we are a makeover business. We believe in enhancing beauty. So which means we shape our brows, we put on the makeup, we do fake lashes, and then we do blow drying, styling. So pretty much everything that is connected to beauty.
Great. So I know that when you came to the US, you had a job there, right? And then during the recession, you lost it. And what did you do? How did you start your company then?
Well, when I came to US, I was working full time, and during the recession when I lost my job, I did not know what to do because there were no jobs in America as such. So my mother had a beauty business back home in India. So I knew everything about the beauty field, but I did not have the license to work in United States. So I had to go to the school, and I had to work part time as an intern in a salon to graduate from the school, that is a beauty school, to get a license and to work in a salon.
Okay. And how did you start your first booth?
Okay. Now, before I started my first booth, what I did was I was working at a salon. So the lady who I worked with was Chinese. So when she sold the business, she sold it to me because I was working for her, and that was the best way to keep the business. And after I took over the salon and I was making okay money, I thought there was so much potential, outside for eyebrow shaping, eyebrow threading. So that was how I went to the malls and I opened the first booth.
Okay. And I also read that you started hiring women from shelters, from mosques. Could you please tell more about that?
Well, as you know, that threading is a very basic, very Indian art, and it is not very common in America. So, back then, 10 years ago, there was mostly eyebrow waxing, tweezing, and using a razor, but threading was not common. So the only people that knew how to thread were Middle Eastern and South Asian people. So those were the women, and that came from India or Pakistan or any other Arab countries. So to get them to come to work and then to find them, the best place was going to, the shelters because there are so many battered women there, South Asian battered women, and then going to mosques and temples. You have a lot of people that come to pray, so you can connect to your community that way.
And why couldn't these women find jobs initially?
Okay, the reason is because these women do not have any other qualification. They don't go to school, they don't have proper English communication skills. So all they know is either to like sew clothes or do anything artistry. So if you go to any nonprofit organizations or any shelters that are dealing with the women, battered women, and anyone deprived minority, so you will find all these people waiting to get a job, and they've been abandoned by their husbands and families with little children. So when you go to them and when you meet the organization, they say that there's so many people, they know how to thread or they know how to do henna art, so they don't have a job. So if I can find a job for them, I think that is more fulfilling for me.
Yes, I think it's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
Is your policy on hiring still the same? Uh, do you still hire women from minority women, low income women for
Yeah,
your company?
that is my formula. And also, I'm right now hiring a lot of Hispanics women because Hispanic women are very hardworking. And then what I do is I we hire people and we have a training program in our office. So we train these people. So now we're not just confined to South Asian women or any Middle Eastern women, but we are confined. We are expanding. We are bringing in more Hispanics, Thai, Vietnamese, and different Cambodians from different countries.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many women have you hired?
We have about 350 women working for us right now.
350 women.
Yes.
The message I get from your story is that immigrants should not try to fit in and become an average person in the US, but they should bring the best from their culture there.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree because I feel in America, anything ancient, anything Indian, anything organic is catching up so fast, and people are going back. They're stepping back. They don't want to be in the fast era, so they don't want to be using chemicals. They don't want to be doing anything that is harmful for their skin because they're becoming more knowledgeable about the skin and their face and hair growth. So when our women, I mean, I'm representing India, so I'm a minority woman. So people like me, women like me, with little bit of communication skills in America, who's talented and who's ambitious, can actually go heights. Like the sky's the limit, because America is being so tolerant to so many cultures. And then if you look back into the history, India has a lot of culture itself. So if you can actually have a fusion and you can create the medium, I think there is so much more that you could do.
That's great. And I mean, women from different countries can bring something um, from their culture.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You're right.
So, did you ever get discouraged when your business wasn't going well, and did you want to quit at some point?
Yeah, well, that's a story because when we opened our business, me and my husband, it was very difficult to actually get into the malls, the shopping centers, because nobody believed in our product because we did not have any product. It was just a thread. It's a piece of thread. So when we said, oh, well, we tried to push ourselves in, there were people that were laughing at us. They would be like looking at our store. I'm like, what are you selling again? Do you know, like you have to sell something when you're in the malls? So we're like, yeah, we're selling a service and that's called threading. So nobody believed in it. So at that point, me and my husband, Moses, we were like, we don't think we can do this. And, we'll just forget about it and just, pack up and leave. And again, something inside me said that, just when you think that just before you give up, that's where you have a new beginning. It's always like that. When you think about, oh no, I can't do this anymore, right after that is great. Something great is going to happen. So I said, you know what, hold on, let's see what's going to happen. And it was a miracle because by the third month, we had like a huge line of people waiting to get the eyebrows done. So then it was history. Like we opened so many, and now we are about 70 plus locations.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So, when you started or now, uh, did you have mentors? Uh, People who were training you on how to establish your business or how to do marketing, sales.
Well, I would say my husband was my mentor because my husband had a corporate background. He was a computer literate person, so I was just talented. I knew how to thread, and I was a people's pleaser. People can easily, they can buy me easily. Like I can talk, and they will just look at me and say, "Okay, fine, do the eyebrows." But the main thing is the marketing. Things behind the table, like behind the chair. You have to do so many things. And there were so many times that I was so discouraged that I was even scared to talk to people because there's so many people walking up to you asking questions which I was not used to with different accents. So I think my husband is my biggest mentor because he actually was the one who guided me through, for what I am right now.
And what is the most important thing that he taught you?
The most important thing that he taught me was to believe in myself and not to judge yourself all the time, and then to feel and feel. One thing he taught me was every day in the morning when you get up, all you have to think is nothing is impossible. So that is why you move, that's how you move on. When you believe in yourself and when you say to yourself nothing is impossible, and you carry that feeling and energy, and that's how you accomplish what you have to the rest of the day.
Wow, that's great. And where did he learn this? How did he become so confident?
I think my husband is a philosopher kind of a thing, because he does understand uh, the the depth of human being, like what they think and what they say. So I think he's more connected to himself, and I'm more like chirpy kind. So that's where we have a balance. So that's where he tries to like pull me down to explain things and make me a better person every day.
Wow, that's so sweet. So, Rima, do you hang out with entrepreneurs like yourself now? Is it important to be around people who are doing a similar thing or who are going through the same um, situations, who are challenged in the same way?
Yes, I do believe, because you, as an entrepreneur, it is very important, because you have to match up and meet up with people that are like-minded, that are creative, like me or like anybody like me. So that's how you share the same energy and the same platform and experiences. So when you are able to share your experiences, then you actually understand that there is a story behind every face, and there is a struggle behind every story. So that's how you begin to understand that the world is not confined within yourself. So when you're doing something like what I am doing, you get confined in your own world, because what you do every day becomes you. But there is so much more outside. So when you go meet different people, there's so much of extension of what you are. So there's so many repeated stories and so many ways people actually dealt with different situation. It's always different.
And how do you find these people? Are they mostly women?
Well, I honestly speaking, I have not yet met a lot of women like me, because I have not ventured out. But we are thinking of branding ourselves, so which means that I'm trying to be going. I will be going to a lot of social parties and gatherings. So at that point, I'll be meeting a lot of entrepreneurs like me. So I want to be a woman activist. I want to be, and I want to have my own charity one day, helping women. So that way, I'm hoping that I'll meet more people that have a purpose in their lives, and that's not just about making money. So I'm looking forward for that.
And what kind of charity would you start?
If I the charity that I want to do is for women, basically women, and then to try to help them out, because I feel that even to this day, this world is male dominant, and I was lucky that I had a husband like I have, but otherwise there are a lot of other husbands that are not letting their wives venture out, because there's so much potential in women lately. But for some reason they don't like their wives to go out, or they're being like mistreated, not dealt with correctly, being abused. So I want to reach out to all those women, and then I want to be able to make them more strong and confident, because this is the skill that I have and the business that I have. You don't need to go to college for years of college, spending dollars and dollars of amount. This is something that you can just learn, and then you can be very self-dependent and make money.
Great. So, what are your plans for this year and for the next year? I heard you also wanted to open a spa in India.
Yes, my plans for this year, we are focusing on opening about 20 more locations in other malls in United States. We will be franchising those. So would be franchising it to women that really need some help and support. And then yes, I want to one day go back to India and then open a spa. I want to take the best of I learned from here, the American culture, to India, and I want to use that in India. So hopefully, I'll be a success there too.
Oh, I'm sure you will. But
Thank
what What is the most important thing that you said you learned from the U.S. culture or business culture?
Okay, with the US culture, what I've learned is um, it's very acceptable. They're very tolerant. Um, if you have something that is saleable, that you believe in, and that's so acceptable in this country. If I was the same Reema, and if I was in India, I am so sure that I would not be a success like I am right now in any field, because I feel it is sad, but even in India, it's we are not tolerant to a lot of things. But in America, I mean, they're very tolerant, and then they accept. So for just the small example, like having threading in the middle of the mall is tolerance. Otherwise, there are a lot of people that would say, like, you know what, we don't want to do this in the middle of the mall. Just put it on somewhere on the side. It is so tacky. But we could beat all those mindsets, and we were there. So because there are a lot of tolerant people that acknowledge this, and they put us in the middle of the mall. So if that didn't happen, I didn't have the money to actually open a big spa or a salon in the mall. I wouldn't have been such a success.
So, what was the key moment in your business when it started growing very fast?
Well, my business took off as a heartbeat, actually. It was only a month or two of struggle, but after the third month, there was no looking back. So it was the same thing, like, copy paste thing, that we knew that when you open this mall, you do the same one, two, three steps. You take the same steps, and you're a success. So you open the third mall, you take the same one, two, three steps, and then you're a success. So I think it was same. Like, it wasn't a big deal for me.
So it started with that huge line of customers, basically second month, right?
Yes,
Sounds
yes.
awesome. So also, Rima, what did you think was going to be very hard and turned out to be easy for you in your business?
What turned out to be very hard, that was very easy for me, was me going to the leasing agents, me and my husband approaching the leasing agents. At first seemed very hard because we didn't have any matter, we didn't have any material. Because I mean, when you're selling a product, you have to have proper presentation. So I think that was God's grace somewhere, and something that was meant to be. Maybe I was in the right place at the right time, that made it easy, because when one door opens, that was all it was, because opening a second and third door was easy after that.
So just making this first step.
Yes, it was a little hard, but afterwards it was easy.
Well, Rima, thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate your answers. It was great. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you too.
That was the interview with Reema Khan. I loved it. And if you did too, please share it with your friends. And also, it would be great to know what you think, so leave a comment. I'm Galina. Thank you for watching.